Hey, today thought I'd show the Vernal Edge demo. This is a game currently in a Kickstarter campaign. The developers have been very nice. I had been planning to do this earlier, but I've just had a lot of personal stuff going on. I also just haven't really felt like playing a new game and learning it. So this is not going to be like the usual kind of thing I do with a detailed overview. I'm still learning the mechanics, but I thought I'd put up at least a little bit of gameplay. The campaign is still going to be up for, I believe, another 3 weeks. Last I checked, they're like 50-60% of the way towards being funded, so it looks like it will happen, but they could obviously use some help from content creators, so I decided to step in and at least show a little bit of gameplay. Hold on a second here. Alright. I have to remember how to play. So the combo system's actually quite nice. I'm not like good enough at the game to really work with it too much, but you have a charge attack, which you can use to break guards. The game has a armor system, like an armor break mechanic, which is actually pretty cool. Kind of prevents it from just becoming a button masher. Got a helm. You got a high time, helm breaker, dash. This thing. I actually really like when action games actually just straight up tell you when an enemy is going to stagger instead of having it be artificial, just like not knowing when they're going to stagger. Guessing I need some kind of double jump or something. Movement doesn't feel as great as I'd like. I would like a little bit more aerial movement and things like that would really help. Not sure what I'm supposed to do with this. Oh, okay. Yeah, I'm kind of a little annoyed that I can't just reset this. I have to wait. I don't know if it's gonna turn off or what. Like, the jumping feels decent. It's mostly just like clinging onto edges and feeling like you can't really do a whole lot of cool stuff mobility-wise, but this is also a Metroidvania, so I assume it will open up later on. There's plenty of Metroidvanias where at the beginning your abilities are pretty basic and later on they get better, so I assume that will happen here. Also, when you're doing something like this, which is a Kickstarter demo to get people interested in the game and hopefully back it, you definitely want to make sure that you don't overwhelm people. Don't give them, like, 500 mechanics to memorize. Kind of just need to give people a quick, like, vertical slice and then move on from there. The Indivisible prototype was actually a pretty decent, like, slice of the game in general. The final game ended up being less than depth, unfortunately, but overall it was pretty good. Alright, cool. Got that puzzle. can I not move anymore? It's like all messed up. It's not working anymore. How do I fix this? There we go. I do feel like this demo could use a little bit more guidance on where exactly it wants you to go. Right now, the tile set is kind of set up in a way where a lot of things look the same, so it can be a little easy to get lost. Alright, this is obviously new, so I must be going the right way. So far, everything has staggered. Some enemies do have the armor break gauge, which you can deplete by using your charge attack, which is always nice. I generally like when games actually do let you interact with the combo system with just more than just basic enemies. Some action games are definitely very guilty of making it where the combo system doesn't really matter much on actual relevant enemies. So far, I really like that they are expecting you to learn the movesets and stuff, but you can still do fun stuff on them when you want. Nice little combo. It's like no feedback on some of these puzzles, which can get kind of frustrating sometimes. You don't know exactly what it wants. Which is kind of odd because this game is actually more like a modern Metroidvania, where you have like actual characters talking and stuff. Learned Spire. It's really hard to find a Metroidvania that has good combat and good movement. I think this game is doing pretty good so far. It's not like quite massacre platforming like Guacamelee. I think Guacamelee has pretty great platforming, but because the the difficulty of it is like in the beginning of the game is like what stuff you would be doing in like the end game in this, it didn't really feel like there was that much progression, and the game could get kind of frustrating. Movement's just kind of basic so far, I guess is what you could say. Okay, so I guess I need to go back. But it's also really hard to judge an unfinished Metroidvania. I know, Super Metroid, one of the greatest games in the genre, despite me personally liking Fusion and Zero Mission more, especially Zero Mission with the movement mechanics and the upgrades they did to the combat system, not the combat, but the movement system. You know, that game starts off pretty slow too. You don't really have anything interesting for a while. It's not like this is like a platformer with no progression systems at all. There's new moves and mechanics being introduced piecemeal. Alright, I guess I'm done down here. I thought maybe there was something I had missed. Like, the wall jumping doesn't really feel too responsive. It feels kind of clunky. Jumping itself feels pretty good. The character is quite responsive. This game could really use a map. It's very easy to get lost. I can't seem to find any kind of map. Okay, so I think it was up here somewhere. Alright, there we go. Progress. And save. I feel like Bloodstained almost had good movement, but it felt kind of floaty. It didn't feel as responsive as some of the DS Vanias. But I guess they wanted to go for a more Symphony of the Night feel, because the game was basically marketed off nostalgia. So I can understand why it was made that way, but it definitely didn't feel as fun to control as this does so far. The movement here feels quite better. Yeah, I guess I'm supposed to go this way. Oh, that guy's a bad guy. Totally not expected. Either he becomes playable or he's a bad guy. It's a little weird that when you when you cut open the chest, it doesn't just automatically collect it. I'm used to that from other games. Takes a little adjustment on my part. got the chest. What does it want now? It's like no guidance or objective or anything. I don't know what it wants me to do. I already got all the things, and it's just like it's still going. I could definitely use like some kind of map. I could tell like what it wants me to do. Like, am I done or? I'm back here to this guy, and nothing's happening. I guess I go back here. I have no clue. It doesn't help the last time I played this was a few days ago. I'm completely lost. Ah, alright, here. Little odd how there's not even a mini-map showing you, like, places of interest. But I can understand why it's not in the game. Some people get really touchy about having any kind of guidance in a Metroidvania. I've always been of the party where I like having some guidance so that you're not just wandering around in nothing forever. Especially in a game like this where there's no experience. I think having some kind of guidance when there's no experience is definitely something that's preferred for me. How do I use an item? I don't know how to use an item. GG. It's actually a pretty cool boss fight. I didn't really have time to learn it, but I like how you actually are rewarded once again for using the combo system instead of just only being able to use it on basic enemies. Alright, well, that's the end of the demo. There are their Twitter accounts and the Kickstarter site. I actually think this game is quite fun. I think the movement could be a little bit more interesting. The combat is quite good, and like I said, my main complaint with this demo is that there doesn't seem to be any kind of map or mini map at all. It can be a little bit easy to get lost because there's really only two tile sets in this demo. I'm sure in the full game there will be more tile sets, but I think that's something that should be addressed when or if it gets funded. Is just having a little bit more guidance. I think it would be nice if it was optional, but at the same time, right now there's no leveling up or loot or anything like that. That can definitely soften the blow of having very little guidance in a Metroidvania, but it seems like they're going with a more skill-based approach in this, which is nice. I think that's actually a pretty good thing. Since I learned a bread and butter there, I had a relatively decent time with that boss, even though I forgot how to use items. I like that aspect of it a bit, but I think that they could make it a little easier to find where it is you need to go, and maybe have it like be optional, like maybe an optional beacon on the map or something. But yeah, there's the game. That's basically the full demo. There's a little bit before, a couple minutes before that I didn't record, but overall, it's quite enjoyable. I hope it gets funded. Anyway, hope you guys check out the Kickstarter campaign. You can play the demo for yourself if you want. It is available on their Kickstarter page, and I'll catch you guys tomorrow. Peace.